Hello, word nerds. Welcome to the dictionary. Yeah. I'm recording this on March 12th, 7:04 a.m. And yeah, let's just do it. Let's get into the words. The first word is eulogy, eulogy. Noun from the 15th century. Of course, we talked about this in the previous episode. We're going to talk a little bit more about it right now. Number one, a commendatory oration or writing, especially in honor of one deceased, as in, she delivered the eulogy at his funeral. I think at a funeral, there's maybe often more than one eulogy. Many people can come up if they want to say something. All of those would be eulogies. But maybe there's typically like at least one big one, and then there's a bunch of little ones, a little baby eulogies, a lot of little baby eulogies. Number two is high praise. So again, doesn't have to be about somebody who's dead, just praising somebody. Give them all the big praise. That's a eulogy. A synonym is encomium. I kind of remember that one. Eulogistic is an adjective, and eulogistically is an adverb. So if you're ever doing something that's giving high praise, that's like that, I guess that would be eulogistic and done in a eulogistic way, eulogistically. I have spoken a little bit at a couple of funerals. Definitely my first grandma who passed away. I think I read a poem or something like that. And that's not exactly a eulogy. I wasn't talking about her. And then at my other grandma's funeral, I told a story about my grandma, and I encouraged everybody else to tell stories as well. But yeah, I mean, you look at your future. You live long enough, you're gonna see people die, people close to you. You're probably gonna have to give them high praise at sort of whatever funeral or ceremony you're gonna have for them. So, I say start writing them now. Start writing things down now. At least for myself, I will forget everything when the time comes. So I need to start writing those eulogies now. I've been writing this eulogy for 50 years. All right. Enough about death. Let's talk about some other words that I don't know anything about, most of these words. The sound effect is going to be boo. The next word is Eumenides. Capital Eumenides. Noun from 1536. And I think it is already plural. These are the Furies in Greek mythology. And I think I need to post a picture on the social media at dictionarypod to see what do the Eumenides look like? Why are they so furious? What makes them fury and angry? Well, maybe they're not angry. I don't know. This is a Greek word, and it literally means the gracious ones. The gracious ones. So they're very gracious for just being a part of the Greek mythology. Oh, thank you. Thank you for putting us in the Greek mythology. We're very, very grateful for that. Lots and lots of pictures come up when you look up Eumenides. Oh, these ones look very angry. Yes, I can see why fury is part of it. They're just yelling at this guy, and he's like, oh my God, it's so loud. Yeah, that seems like a pretty typical painting. Okay, that's the Eumenides. They're fury, but they're also gracious? Boo. Next is eunuch, or eunuch. Eunuch. Noun from the 15th century. Oh, get ready for this if you don't know what this is. I have prepared you. Not really much, just a little bit. Number one, a castrated man placed in charge of a harem or employed as a chamberlain in a palace. Well, we talked about the word castrated a while ago, so we can say that's when their man bits are removed. And I don't think back in the day, what was this in the 15th century? I don't think they had a very good way to get rid of those parts. So it was probably very painful, and I don't think there was any anesthetics. Um, so they're in charge of a harem. Why would somebody be chosen to be a eunuch? Or do they choose it, or is it chosen for them? Is it a punishment? Um, if they are in charge of a harem, that's usually a whole bunch of women, and maybe they really like the women, and maybe their punishment was for whatever they did was to be in charge of them, but not get to partake in the sexy times because they had their man bits taken off. Interesting. I'm sure there's so much about these. There was the character in Game of Thrones, I believe, was a eunuch. I don't know if he was in charge of a harem or if he was definitely he was an interesting character. Number 2 is a man or boy deprived of the testes or external genitals. So yeah, the testicles, that's the one part of it, or just the whole penis, or maybe both. They get rid of them. Number 3, one that lacks virility or power, as in political eunuchs. Because, of course, obviously, we have to associate the penis and the testicles with virility and power. If you don't have that, then you don't have virility or power. That's what society says. Whatever. Eunuchism. Eunuchism. That's a noun. I don't know how that's used exactly. This is from the Greek eunikos, which is from uni, which means bed, plus ekin, which means to have or have charge of. So if they were in charge of the harem would be the people who would lay in bed with the person who they were like, if they're all their wives, not necessarily wives, but it's a king, a ruler of some kind, has a harem. And so they have charge of the bed. This eunuch, has charge of the people who would go to bed with the ruler. Which, I don't know, what are you doing? Are you taking care of their 401ks and make sure that they've got all their benefits? And what do you have to do to be in charge of a harem? There's more at the word scheme. So somehow scheme is related to eunuch etymologically. Maybe they like to scheme, like that character in Game of Thrones. Number 2 was the man or boy. I think it was castrato. Those were the boys. They wanted to keep their high, beautiful voice in that high range, and so they would remove, before they would go through puberty, they would remove the testicles at least, and they weren't pumping out all this testosterone. We learned about this in the estrogen episode. The whole idea of hormones and stuff. So if you get rid of the testicles, they're not pumping the testosterone mostly and through the body, and so that they're gonna not necessarily really go through puberty, and then they would keep that high, beautiful, high voice. I don't know if were they called eunuchs as well? I don't know. The next word is eunuchoid. This is a noun from 1906. A sexually deficient individual, especially one lacking in sexual differentiation and tending toward the intersexual state. Eunuchoid is also an adjective. So the word deficient there is interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. This definitely doesn't seem like a word that we're using anymore. One lacking in sexual differentiation and tending. So, okay, in this especially section, this is saying, based on your genitals, we can't really tell which sex you are. And yeah, tending toward the intersexual state. And as somebody who is intersex, is born biologically with the parts inside and out, and the genetically that are like, oh well, we can't define you biologically as male or female. And yes, of course, these people exist. I've spoken about this many times on this podcast. So I guess unicoid might be an old way to say that. Yeah, doesn't seem like it's the most respectful word to be using for somebody like that. Next is euonymus. That's the next one, euonymus. EUONYMUS. Noun from 1736. The synonym is spindle tree. 2 words, spindle tree. Don't know anything about a spindle tree. This is the genus name is euonymus, from the Latin euonymos, which means spindle tree. From the Greek euonymos, which is from euonymos. What is the difference between these 2 words? EUONYMOS. Those are the same words. Oh, maybe one. No, I don't know. The Greek euonymos, from euonymos, which means having an auspicious name. From eu prefix plus onyma, which means name, and there's more at the word name. And how that got connected to spindle tree, I don't know anything about that. Euonymos. It's a fun word to say. The next word is eupatrid, or eupatrid. EUPATRID, noun, from 1836. This is one of the hereditary aristocrats of ancient Athens. The hereditary aristocrats, so does that mean that they were in power? They were important people, politicians maybe, but they got that job because it was passed down from parent to child? That's what I think of hereditary. They are the eupatrid, and of course, I mean, we see that P-A-T letters in there, and that makes me think of the patriarchy, and this was probably passed from father to son. Let's look at the etymology. Let's see, from the Greek eupatrides, which is from the EU prefix plus the patre, P-A-T-R prefix, also pater or patir, which means father. And there's more at the word father. So, yep, it all makes sense. The next word is eupeptic. Adjective from 1699. 1 of, relating to, or having good digestion. So if you have just good digestion, I think I got pretty good digestion. I think between my diet and staying kind of active and maybe have some decent metabolism, good digestion. What does that mean exactly? Oh, you digested that apple so good. You apple, I'm going to digest you so good later. You're going to flow through my system. Eupeptic. I wonder what context. It must be doctors that are using this. Number 2, the synonyms are cheerful and optimistic. What happened? How did it go from digestion to having a cheery disposition? Eupeptic. Oh, look at that person walking down the street smiling and going like this. Woo! I'm feeling so eupeptic. They must have good digestion. They're so happy that they poop so good. The next word is euphausiid. Euphausiid. E-U-P-H-A-U-S-I-D. Euphausiid. Waka waka waka. Noun from 1885. Any of an order, Euphausiaceae, of small, usually luminescent malacrostican crustaceans that resemble shrimps and, in some areas, form an important element in marine plankton. And Euphausiad. Oh, yes, there's a double I there at the end. Euphausiad is an adjective. It's just the genus of crustaceans. Euphausia is the genus of crustaceans. So that's where this word came from. And there is it's not the same, but there is a similar looking creature at the corner of this page. But I think that's different. Same prefix, EU, but different word. The euphausiids are whoa, so many fantastic adjectives to describe these little buggers. Luminescent. So are they glowing? Are they shiny? Let's look up a picture. EUPHAUSIID. Yeah, I definitely misspelled it when I said it wrong. When I said it before. Krill. The little krill. They've got, I don't know, 8 or 10 legs, and they look like they have a beard. They have a beard and a whole bunch of antenna, and they're see-through, it looks like. And so they are luminescent usually, and they're crustaceans that are malacostracan. I don't know at all what that word means. Can't wait to learn about that. They resemble shrimp. They look like shrimp. They're similar to shrimp, but they're not shrimp. The name krill comes from the Norwegian word krill, meaning small fry of fish. Yep, the euphausiids. Okay, next word. We have euphemize. Euphemize with an S. It's the British variation of euphemize with a Z, which is coming up. Euphemism is next. Euphemism. Noun from circa 1681. The substitution of an agreeable or inoffensive expression for one that may offend or suggest something unpleasant. Also, the expression so substituted. So just to sort of reword that a little bit, you could say a phrase that might be offensive or whatever. But if you don't want to be offensive, you don't want to offend somebody, you could replace that phrase with something else that is agreeable or inoffensive, but it still sort of has a similar meaning. It's still similar enough that you sort of know, like, oh, well, I know what you're trying to say. I know what the underlying meaning is, but luckily, you have said it in an inoffensive way. And I just want to look up example of euphemism because, of course, I can't ever think of anything off the top of my head. Okay, here's some simple ones. Euphemism can use a similar sounding word. For example, darn instead of damn, geez instead of Jesus, or gosh instead of God. Because, of course, some of those words could be offensive to some people, and I apologize if they offended you. Damn, Jesus, and God. You can replace them with darn, geez, and gosh. I mean, it is pretty fun to say those words, though. Okay, so euphemist is a noun, euphemistic is an adjective, and euphemistically is an adverb. You replace that word euphemistically. Let's see. This is from the Greek euphemos, which means auspicious or sounding good, which I believe was similar to where did we have the spindle tree? Yeah, that was euonymus, which is having an auspicious name. And so this one, euphemos is auspicious or sounding good, which is from the EU prefix plus phemi, which means speech. Also from phani, which means to speak. And there's more at the word ban, like we're going to ban books, which I disagree with. So yes, it's putting something in that sounds good, makes people feel good, opposed to something that might make them offended. We don't want to offend people. Do we? No. Um, oh, there's other, a mild word phrase, example. She passed away last year. That's the euphemism instead of she kicked the bucket. She died. Or I'm going to have to let you go is a euphemism for you're fired. Okay, the next word, euphemize. Transitive verb from 1857. This is to express or describe euphemistically, as in euphemize death. Euphemize death. Euphemizer is a noun. So because people have such feelings about death. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to deal with it in any way. They're afraid of it, whatever it is. So if you want to euphemize death, you will describe it in a euphemistic way. You'll describe it by replacing the things that make you feel sad with other ways that make it that they don't sting so much. Like the phrase, she passed away last year. Oh, that's sad. Opposed to, something else. Describing how she passed away. That could be incredibly offensive. Yeah. Euphemize death. I get it. I just feel like we need to normalize talking about it because we're all going to deal with it at some point. And so I think we just need to talk more about it. Don't we? Yes, we do. I'll talk about it as much as I want. Go listen to the podcast, Films to be Buried With. There's a lot of death talk there. I got things to say. I want to go on that podcast. Next is euphenics. Euphenics, noun from 1963. This is the therapeutic techniques and procedures for amelioration of the deleterious phenotypic effects of a genetic defect, especially without altering the genetic makeup of the germplasm of the individual. Euphenic is an adjective. So what is happening? The therapeutic techniques and procedures. So these are the things that you use for amelioration of the deleterious phenotypic effects of a genetic defect, especially without altering the genetic makeup of the germplasm of the individual. So somebody has a genetic defect. You don't want to change their genetic makeup, but you want to do something to fix it, to change it, to, I'm not entirely sure, because there's some big words here. I don't know. I don't understand. Interesting. Euphenics. This feels like it's edging into the world of eugenics a little bit, possibly. I don't really know much about this at all, so let's put a link in the show notes for euphenics with a PH. What does the etymology say? Ooh. Yes, so it doesn't say much, but I do see it does seem related to eugenics. It's in here. It's the EU plus phen, which is like from phenotype, plus ix, and then this is from the English word genotype, and then colon eugenics. So yeah, it's related. I guess it must be. Okay, so I guess that means like they was like, oh, you got a genetic defect. We want to fix you in some way. And I don't think they need fixing. Next is euphonious. 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 Adjective from 1774. Pleasing to the ear. Sometimes my voice does not. I don't think it is very euphonious, but I hope it is to you. If it isn't to you, then I don't know why you're listening to this or watching this. But I very much hope that my voice is euphonious. I can change it. I can make it more or less euphonious. Euphoniously is an adverb, and euphoniousness is a noun. Some people have a lot of euphoniousness. I love their voices. Okay, one more word. Euphonium. Euphonium. Noun from 1865. This is a brass instrument smaller than, but resembling a tuba. So it's smaller than a tuba, but it resembles a tuba. And having a range from B flat below the bass staff upward for 3 octaves. And of course, because it's a brass instrument, depending on the person who's playing, they might be able to go lower or higher. There's no like technical limit on those instruments. Let's post a picture of a euphonium on social media. And yeah, I feel like, is baritone another name, or is that a different instrument altogether? I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, a euphonium, you see these in marching bands. That's probably not what they sound like. I don't know. Let's see, euphonos, harmonium. Yeah, not a lot of. I think it's just from this. It's something that makes a sound, and maybe it's pleasing to the ear. All right, it is word of the episode time. Everybody, we had eulogy, Eumenides, eunuch, eunuchoid, euonymus, eupatrid, eupeptic, euphosiad, euphemize, euphemism, euphemize, euphenics, euphonious, and euphonium. Let's see. Ooh, eupeptic is kind of fun. It's cheerful and optimistic. And yeah, let's pick that one. Eupeptic. I'm feeling so eupeptic today. My food is digesting so good. And that makes me cheerful and optimistic for what the day brings. I'm eupeptic. Yeah. All right, let's talk about a movie, because that's what happens. Princess Mononoke. Is it Mononoke or Mononoke? I don't know. Man, they make such beautiful movies over there at Studio Ghibli and a lot of other places in that part of the world. And I am not really familiar with most of it. There's a lot. And it never was a thing that I was watching. So I've been watching a couple. I could not tell you, because I can't remember what the story is or what happens. They are very odd stories, and there's weird stuff that happens, but it's all very metaphorical and mythological. Very cool. But, the beauty, the visuals are really the thing that jump out at me so much. So, yeah, Princess Mononoke. I recently watched Howl's Moving Castle. Was there another one? I can't remember, but there's more to watch. I got more to watch. Oh, Spirited Away I saw years ago. Okay, that's it. That's the end. Thank you very much for listening and watching. And until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye.